In the real world, when you get up extremely high, even during the daytime, the sky gets darker and darker with increasing height. Well, in Platform Masters, you're going to see that same thing. And just as an example, here's the end of stage 4, which is kind of what you'd see for the sky at the very end of stage 4 for the fading effect. Of course, if you really want to get dark, here's stage 5, which is much higher. And of course, it actually starts off like this, quite bright, although it's actually a little dark up here, but that's because of one thing. It's dusk, hence this sunset effect. And of course, it gets some little bit of extra height, and yeah, you can see that it's a little darker. Higher yet, and of course, really high up, you're almost out into space. So, well, I need to do stage 6 now. So for that, I'll just show you what I do. It's actually pretty simple. Once I spent 7 hours fiddling around with this spreadsheet here to finally get this formula, if all this here is any hint, but this is only a small fraction of the complexity involved. Yeah, look at all that. Square roots. Oh boy. Okay, first I need this. Dusk sky. I'm doing stage 6. I need this. I have contrast. Zoom in a lot so I can see what's going on. Of course I don't need, well, it don't actually matter. I just duplicate my template here. Yeah, templates are nothing new. So, what's with all this here anyway? It looks like a huge mess of numbers. And some of them are kind of colored a lot too. Yep, and of course there's clone on here. Still thinking of this guy in Clone Wars. However, this gives you an idea. Stage 5, this is the height in feet. It's extremely high, in which stage 5 gets at its full glory. So yeah, the sky is really, really dark at that height. And of course, well, I'm doing stage 6, I might as well change this to a 6. And what do you know? Now it's 405,000 feet that it otherwise maxes out. And, well, so what's with all this other stuff here? Well, I got base position and calculating angles and stuff. You know, converting it to degrees, because radians are a little hard to work with. Of course, that's really simple to convert. And of course, the scale ratio, that affects how this changes over time. And of course, I got my hue calculations. Of course, this doesn't exactly reflect the true hues and stuff, but it's just to kind of simplify things a bit. Of course, you got some of this kind of stuff. You got all these if statements nested inside each other, and some other scaling in there. So, yeah, I've got a ton of stuff, I'll tell you. It took me 7 hours total fine-tuning and fiddling around in here to finally get this formula and stuff. And this is only a small hint of the complexity. For hue, oh my goodness, look at all that. Now this is a mess. By definition, this is a mess. This is probably the most complicated thing, and it took me 4 or 5 hours to figure all this out. But yeah, you get the idea. So, that aside, what I need to do is I just simply reference just these 3 right here in orange. That's it. That's all I need to do. So from here, of course I need to get my color thing here. And yes, that is that color at the very top on stage 5. That is seriously how dark it is. So the first one, of course the order is not exactly RGB. Here it's 30-degree hue, so it's actually this, this, and then this. So 36, 24, yeah, pink, 9, and there you have it. Here's 33. Of course this may not match because there's rounding errors, because this is exact. This is after rounding, since I can't use fractions. So I just plop that pixel there and go to the next one. So here it's 31, 24, and then an 8. Notice the 42-degree hue in this? It's those fractions that'll get you. And I just keep repeating this. 25, notice that it's going up here now. 7 there, 49 degree hue, and this is still really high up. Okay, let's see, 26. Actually, this isn't the 28, this is 26, that's still a 7. Yeah, notice how I'm using this window as a slider, in a sense. Like a bookmark, so I can watch where I'm going. Here, it's otherwise yellow, so I just reference the high one in here. And then I use the other one here, the main one, since that changes the most, and that goes there. Okay. This one now gets ignored. 26. Oops, miss. Except that's in reverse. 8 here. Okay. 25s. And I got a 10. There's that. And let's see, another 25, except that's an 11. 24 with some 12s. Or 24s with a 12. 24 with a 14. 23 with a 15. And 16. See here, notice how that I got a 1 here? That means the next one is going to be exactly identical, unless of course this is not a 0. So in that case, that's a handy shortcut that I make use of. I actually designed the spreadsheet to do just that. It actually speeds things up. 21s and then 19. Still that, except this is a 20. Okay. Yeah, I forgot. Didn't note the clone there. Saying here, this is where things are a little different. This is where I'm actually going from, well, basically gray, which is actually white. If you actually look at the dusk sky closely, you'll see that between the yellowish and bluish colors, it's actually white. That's because your eye is picking up red and blue in addition to the green, which is why you don't see green stars either. Let's see. And notice how I have, let's see. Sometimes I encounter a problem like this, where it doesn't make sense. Because this here is my pixel here, I got 365, and if I put the cursor over here, I actually have a 366. Of course, I'm going to have to narrow this window so you can see that. See 366? Yeah, and it's supposed to be 365, so that means I have a problem somewhere. And thus, I have to isolate it. And usually it's caused from duplicating. 367, 366, those should be identical. So it looks like I skipped something. So I'm going to go bump back a lot. 375 happens to be this. 375, and of course that's from the yellow. Let's see, 24 and 12, okay, so that makes sense. I'll go up to 370, so I got 22 and 18s. Uh-oh, that's not a match. Okay. Ah, I see why. 370 was not duplicated like it should have been. So that fix is actually pretty easy. I just copy the color, get rid of that. So I just copy that color. This is otherwise how I make fixes in case I spot things like that. And now everything should line up. 369 happens to be this, and it is that. Okay. Now up here, of course, now everything's going to match, so it makes total sense. So, next one. And I just keep resuming on this. Keep going on it. And now this is actually an RGB order, because blue is actually the most common, if these samples are any hint. And of course, one thing you might be noticing is that the hue is actually changing too. It's actually kind of a cyanish color right next to the white here, but it actually fades into blue. That actually took some time to figure out. Oop, that's still a 19. Okay, 16, 18. And it's only the blue that changed. Yeah, I can do this pretty fast. 15, 17, 14, 17. The blue rarely changes. See, that's 16. And whenever I need to, I just click on that to boost it up. Blue changes. And here's a case I have a clone, so I just copy that, and let's see, 11, 14. Okay, draw 2 pixels of that. See, and it still lines up at 350. I check that often because otherwise I'd have to backtrack a lot. As you can tell how much time it costs when I make a mistake like that. And here's another clone. 347. Let's see, just the green, just the red, and just the blue, just the green again. And when this gets near the bottom like that, well, things are a little different. And of course here, there's 2, that means I got another clone coming in. And of course that means there's a 0 at the end. So let's say I reference from here, I see that the green, no, it's the red that has changed. Because it's 8, 11, and 17 for the order. 3 of them. This is a good point to save. So I just click in there, scroll to click on that, and use the arrow keys to navigate. And there you have it. Move this up to the top. Of course, this is actually where I left off, so I just keep continuing until I'm done. And of course, later on, you'll see a ton of cloning. That's why it gets so fast later on. See, there's some clones. 7, 10, 17. 336, that all checks. 9. Clone, it's the blue. Some clones again, it's from the red. Lots of clones. Looks like the green. Just the red. Oh my goodness, look at all these clones. This is another case where it gets really fast. And let's see, it's the green and blue that changed. See, 5, 7, 15, it all matches. Except this time, when I get long gap jumps of clones like that, all I do is I reference this. Of course, making sure it lines up initially too, which of course is really no big deal. But since I missed, which is kind of annoying, I just make a line select and there you have it, that quick. So I'll just continue on like this until I'm otherwise done. Looks like 5 clones. Red and green change. I have no idea where this ends. 63. And so I'm otherwise now on the final result, and look at that, 63. Hey, sometimes I get quite impressed by how big those numbers get. Well, let's see. 58. That is so far up here. But it isn't the only one. I have so many clones. But since this stops right here, that means I know I'm at the end. So, up to the top, and it's done. Good point to save, of course, when you're finished. The last thing I need to do is scale the image to 1024, because that's the width of the resolution I use. And just look how dark this is. There's actually going to be stars present here. And you might be wondering, what about this? What am I going to do with this? This will be addressed, but it's in the next stages of the process. I'll have to end up doing that later. It's not important at this moment, but yes, it will get done. So, final stage. You saw how I did it, right? And this is 7. Get this. This, scroll up to the top, change this to 7. Of course, save, if I can get this mouse to work. And then, on my new forums, what I usually do is I update my progress on here. And let's see, I gotta figure where it is. It's right here. Quick reply, let's see. It's 12:04 is when I completed it. March 16, 2012 at 6:04. No, it's actually, I'm forgetting about daylight saving time. Boy, do I hate that. Stage 6 is done. The next one should be blazing fast. And I also got a video of the process for making this guy. And for the height reference, since I'm kind of been doing that, I was originally using my game engine for that, which doesn't seem to be quite as precise. All I need to do now is just simply reference this. Copy. Guess my initial estimate was a little off. And that's basically it. Of course, as per one of my tricks, I copy this and paste it in a notepad as backup. Except, unfortunately, that's classified because there's some private info on there. Solving equations isn't one of them, but that is on there. Solving equations? Yeah, that was so I could do this, because I had to solve for the height in here. And, yeah, I know. That's basically what you need to do. It's basic algebra there. And since it's done, hit submit. Nothing new here. Of course, after some time, it resets. Go back to page 1. Edit my original post so I can keep this checklist updated. Phase 6 is done. I don't really need to do anything. This is not really necessary, but it lets others know that that's what the last thing I finished was. So, there you have it. That's basically all I do behind the scenes whenever I'm working on things. Of course, this might need some updating a little bit, because I might have a stage 8 in here. I originally thought of them as phases, but a stage, you know, Super Monkey Balls for culprit behind that one. But anyway, this video was created by Ulillillia. Thank you for watching. and enjoy the results that will be coming when I finish all of this. When this stage is done, that is.